Am I live? Am I live? I hope I am. I hope I really am. Let's see how this goes into things. What happens when my comes up here? Chat. As I'm talking out loud here, I see my. What's up, Nathaniel? What's up? Yeah, as you guys kind of come in, just kind of let me know who's here, just so I can kind of keep track of who's, who I got on here and stuff. Hopefully, we don't have a little issue with the internet like we did before. Anime.org. I did put my email into the chat. I think I have to go back to YouTube to allow this. Allows me to. There we go. Okay. Like if you guys have any issues with if you have any issues with anything, I hear my sound going too, which is great. I hope everybody's doing well. Again, let me know who's here and all that stuff. I just give me good morning, or I mean, I've seen your guys' names here a few different times, so put this all this stuff here. I want to talk actually. The information I'm going to be going over is going to be dealing with topic 6. This is also topic 6. So those of you who were 6th grade and were with me, I'm dealing with topic 6 also with 7th grade. But this is going to be dealing with more like sampling and statistics, like what's happening, sampling and statistics and all that kind of good stuff. I will get into this here in just a second. Again, topic 6, dealing with this. We talked slightly about this, but again, so much information. So much information. Everybody have a good weekend? Let me know. Let me know. I did. It was pretty good. We were able to get outside. You were able to get outside pretty good, which is, obviously it's always good to get outside, especially with everything going on. It's good to get outside. And I know right now it's actually pretty nice, pretty sunny outside. So, oh, yeah. Needless to say, I'm going to get straight into this. This is going to be dealing, like I said, topic 6 with everything here. Okay. I want to kind of start this off by just kind of giving a slight little example. Now, this might seem kind of common sense. It might not. It depends on how you, you know, you let yourselves kind of come into this. Oh my God! I hope this internet's not doing this again.
Think about this
So,
question
when
during
we
the
talk
lesson.
about, when we really long, that's good.
The
That's good. So, I
2,468
don't know
registered.
if I don't know if when doing this, if the sound's going to kind of come through with this. If it is, just bear with the talking here. But you guys have seen me use this before during class. But we're going to talk about two different things, and it's going to be you're going to be dealing with population, that is an A, and a sample. Now, you guys, this is this is big with especially like during election years. So like understanding this and understanding like why you hear things in like the media, you hear things to where you know you flip through, you're going on the phone or doing whatever, and they say, well, Gallup did a poll of Americans, and they said that 47% of people approve of the way the economy is going, or 45% of gamers think that PS4 is better than Xbox, or however, these people are doing, what's up, Shock? So you're dealing with you're dealing with um, ways of showing this. So like what this is going to do is it breaks it down. So if you say on this, and kind of just bear with me on this. So it says like the 2,468 registered voters in Morgantown are voting on whether to build a new stadium, and this happens all the time. This happens all the time with this. You talk about new stadiums and people do want to taxes and money and all this kind of good stuff. And you kind of sit there and it's like, and they want to try to gauge the population. Well, are you going to be able to actually go out and sample the 2,468 people in the town? That's going to take you forever to do. Or if you have bigger towns like Los Angeles, I mean, people, I don't know how they did the funds, but like, in Los Angeles, they're building, I don't know how many people, anybody who knows football will know this, but for in Los Angeles, they're building like $1 billion stadium. The question is like, well, how do they raise the funds? They have to be able to sit there and go, you have to be able to sit there and go, well, do these people actually want this? Of course, I'm not getting political about everything, but it's just like it's just saying now. You look at this, you say, well, Morgan and her friends want the town to vote in favor of the stadium. So then how can they determine how the voters will vote before the day of the vote? So you talk about before the day
Stadium.
of the vote.
Morgan and her friends want the town to vote in favor of the stadium. How can they determine how the voters will vote before the day of the vote?
So the question then becomes,
how can you represent this problem situation using math?
How can you represent the problem situation? Well, you have to figure
Morgan
out,
and her friends could ask every registered voter, or the entire population of voters in town, how they plan to vote.
She can ask the
Is it reasonable for Morgan and her friends to survey every voter?
Going to be dealing with
Select your answer.
Sampling, population, and samples. It's topic 6 out of that of the packets. I did link to it online too. Hope that helps. Okay. So you look at this and you say, well, is it reasonable for Morgan and her friends to survey every voter? This is, a few people to survey over 2,468 people. The question on that is it reasonable? No, it's not. I mean, unless she has a big amount of time to do that. And it says it takes a very long time. Morgan and her friends will not be able to survey the entire population. So the question is, they can take what you call a subset. So you can take like a subset of people. And the idea of this, if you survey a sample of voters, it doesn't take as long. So if you ask 100 or 200 people of this, you can be able to help actually fully represent this. So you choose a sample. When you choose the sample, and this is where we're going to get into the next part of this, where it's how you actually create the sample. And it does explain to you here, represents voters with college educations. Is it playing really loud, Katana? If it is, I'm sorry. It's okay. What we're talking about is dealing with sampling and dealing with dealing with like statistics and being able to say something along the lines of, if I have a population of something, if I have a population, if I want to determine how many Akron students prefer the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers, am I going to ask the thousands and thousands of Akron students? I'm not going to do that. It would take absolutely forever. The thousands and thousands of Akron students are the population. This is like more of like a vocab on this. It's dealing with the entire amount of people. So the question is, well, how can I determine what the how do all the Akron students think? If I'm like, well, I want to see how many Akron students prefer PS4 to Xbox, or like I said, Browns, Steelers, or pizza, and you can go on and on and on with that. The way you do that is you have to then, the best way to do it, and this is how any type of polling, the entire type of polling that we're dealing with, again, we're dealing with sampling and dealing with statistics and dealing with and saying, well, how can you determine a representative sample, so a sample of a population? So if I have a population of, say, 2 million people, or in Ohio, 11 million people, and I want to determine, and I want to take a gauge of that population and saying, well, how many of the 11 million people are, actually approve of the way Governor Mike DeWine is dealing with everything going on? Am I going to ask every single of the 11 million people? That would take absolutely forever. That would absolutely take, so you have to come up with what we call a sample. So the sample is, and then you say to yourself, and you say, well, So you say to yourself and you go, well, I have to find out how to create that good sample of this. And this is where we're going to get into the other part of it. So what you want to do is you want to create what we call a representative sample. A representative sample. Okay? A representative sample. It accurately reflects the characteristics of each population. If I take 11 million people and I decide, well, you know what, the first 2,000 people I see in Cleveland, is that going to accurately represent what people in Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, Steubenville, and so on and so forth have to those people if they're going to be able to, to be able to see that? You have to create that representative sample. You need people from Cleveland. You need people from Toledo. You need people from Cincinnati. You need to be able to sample a group of everybody. Okay, so like just so we can so I'll kind of write this here right here. So how is Governor DeWine, that's our state governor, dealing with, I'll just put COVID on this, or I can't say, oh gosh, dealing with everything going on, dealing with his his job performance on this. Okay, how is Governor DeWine dealing with that? And again, Ohio has 11 million people. There's 11 million people in Ohio. Okay, again, you're not going to go and survey all 11 million people. Okay, you're going to try to create where we have a representative sample of how he's. You have to say, well, how are we accurately reflecting the characteristics? You need people who are. And I'm going to you need people, and this is the part on that last slide, which kind of gets got a little bit in there. To get that representative sample, first of all, it needs to be random. It needs to be, I think my head's in this bottom side here, but it has to be random. So like, let's just look, for instance, let's take this first sample. Let's go sample two, actually, I'm sorry. So say you were surveying and you took the first vote, like the first people you see, you go and you walk outside, and you sit there and you go, I'm going to survey the first 10,000 people I see. I know it's 10,000, but I go and I survey those people. Does that accurately reflect what the rest of Ohio is doing? The people who live in, with nobody around them for miles, are they going to believe the same things as people in Cleveland who are living right on top of each other? And that's kind of the same. And that's one way of looking at that. And you look at like another way and you say, well, what if I took a random sample of people from Toledo? Yeah, you're doing a random sample. And the thing is, though, again, it falls into that same guise as what we see right here with our sample two. So like in this instance right here, sample two, if I took the first people I see, well, it doesn't work. So the best way to do it is to take what we call a random sample. Each member of the population has an equal chance of being included. Okay, each member of the population has an equal chance of being included. A random sample tends to be a representative sample. That is a representative sample. You want to represent the population of Ohio. So how do you represent the population of Ohio? Well, I mean, you need to cover your people with, like, see, if you think, if I take the first 100 people I see and say they're all teenage students or they're all high school students, are those people who are high school students, are they going to believe the same things as people who are 80 or 90, or people who are like elderly? You have to be able to have, your elderly, your teens, your young adult, um, your young adult. Um, I mean, you could go on. You could go on and on and on with this. What if you surveyed them and they were all male? Well, you need to include female. You need to include all different types of ages. Okay, so I mean, it's trying to understand here what a representative sample is here. A representative sample is, again, something that accurately reflects the characteristics of the population. Okay. That's making a little bit of sense. Hope that's making a little bit of sense. Let's see here. And so then you say to yourself, well, how do we create that random sample? So like in the instance of the first example that evidently was talking very loud, which I'm sorry about that, I won't do that again. If she has, so in our first example, there was 2,468 people in the town. 2,468 people in the town, and she's trying to think, well, how is she going to survey all 2,468 of those people? Well, she has to create our random sample. Our random sample of 2,468 people. I keep saying 2,468, but so how can she generate a random sample? Now, this is the steps. This is the steps that she can do to generate this. And the first one is you have to define it. You have to define the population. Is she going to survey 10-year-olds? Is she going to survey, 12-year-olds or the population that she is surveying is going to be the registered voters in the town. Well, from statistics and census and all that kind of stuff that those registered voters, that the population is the registered voters. Okay? It's the registered voters. So again, you define what is the population you're doing. Remember, population versus sample. So if you look at number 2, so in this we find to be big when it comes to like political polling. So people try to say, well, if you ever go into like a Gallup poll or anything, a political poll, or anything to say, well, a certain percentage of people in America prefer X, Y, or Z, whomever. If you look down way at the bottom, they'll say that this was a survey generated by random sampling, and they'll say it has out of 2,000 registered voters, and you say, well, that's the sample size of the population. So the sample size of the population right here, she's going to be surveying 100 registered voters. Question is does the 100 represent the 2,468 total? I mean, that's up to you with this. That's up to you how you feel. You want to get your confidence level. And confidence level is something we talk about in further up kind of courses with this. Again, it tells you the larger the sample, the more confident that you can be to represent the position of the population. Well, what if all 100 people, so happens the 100 people that you survey all believe one thing, but yet the other 2,300 thought the other. That's when it comes to, you have to look at this and say, well, the more that you survey, the better. But in this instance, they're determining that 100 of the 2,468 are going to be worthy enough of doing this. Now, if you find out, well, what's the percentage of that? 100 divided by your 2,468 times your 100. Does sampling 4%? Does sampling 400? Does sampling 4% of that population, is that enough to represent the entire amount? Tell me. Is it? I mean, if you're paying attention and following along with me, let me know. Do you think 4%? Do you think 4%? So do you think 4% is an accurate representation? Do you think 4% is an accurate representation? Tell me. There's no wrong answer to this, by the way. I mean, what do you think? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You choose your sample numbers. Thanks, Nathaniel. I mean, that's good. I'm glad. Like I said, you tell me. I said, does 4%, and it tells you, if I continue on here, it says, acquire a list of all members of the population, which like you said, it's a 2,468. And it says right here, you would assign a number and then generate a list of random numbers to select sample members. That's how you would do a pure sample of the population right there. Again, tell me, does taking 4% of a population, does taking a sample of 4% of a population represent everybody? Tell me, write it in the chat. Write it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Do you think they need to do more? Do you think they need to do more with that to be more confident? Tell me what you think. Like I said, there's no wrong answer to this. Okay, there's no wrong answer to this. All right. Um, Again, 4%, 4%, because 100 out of the 2,468 is about a little over 4%. All right. Again, that's dealing with population and samples, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else. Let's see what else. Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you. Someone's paying attention. I know it's early. I know it's early. Um, yeah, my personal belief, 4% does not give you a pure representation of 2,000 people. I just don't believe that. I'm always under the guise of saying, like, when they say, well, 48% approve of this or 52% disapprove of this. Well, if you're taking 4,000, oh, don't want that. If you take if you're taking like I said, 4% of this, trying to get off of here. Yeah, again, I sample 100 out of the 2,468. Out of the 2,468, that's only 4%. Okay, I personally don't have much confidence in that. Okay, and evidently only Nathaniel thinks that. So, all the other people who are with me, let me know. Let me know. What do you think? Is 4% good? Is 4% not good? If we were in class, I'd be saying the same thing to you right now. So, but needless to say, I mean, usually the more people you survey, the more people that you'll find is going to be. You'll find that that confidence level gets more and more, because if I took out of the however many people there are in Summit Academy, Middle School, and I said, well, what if I only I took a sample of, say, five out of the 60 people. Is that very much of a representative sample? I don't think it is. That's my personal belief. Okay, but again, I mean that's the infamous issue with polling and all that kind of good stuff. Um, but again, that information right there is dealing with is dealing with. Let me get right to it. All the way down here. That information's covering or starting to cover topic 6 right here. So it's dealing with topic 6 right there. Okay. Um, you're dealing with sampling and populations, and then we'll talk tomorrow about like inferences and random samples, representative samples, and all that kind of good stuff. Um, Again, I mean, just take a look at this stuff. If you have any questions, it's all good. I'm just messing with you guys. So like I said, when it comes to that, it's just to kind of make sure like you guys understand like what I'm going through, so I'm not just talking for 25 minutes for no reason. So what happens? So Kishore, what happens if you multiply it? So yeah, I mean, it's good questions. Finally, as I was about to go, good questions there again, Katana. No, I'm just saying, like, I just want to make sure we're not just we're at least giving some kind of attention, which that's totally fine. Um, so like, what happens if you multiply it? Well, yeah, what happens if you take 100, you decide, well, instead of 100, I'm going to do 2 times that or 3 times that. If I was going to sit there and if I was going to say, instead of doing 100, I'm going to do 300 of the 2,468. And if you remember how to change that, how to change that into a percent. You're taking your numerator, dividing it by your denominator, and then multiplying it by 100. Now, do you feel a 12% chance? A 12% sample here, a 12% sample. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. It's just it, it's just determining whether or not it accurately describes the population, and thus that is always the biggest issue with statistics and polling and sampling. People who are paid to do this have to determine whether or not they're accurately grabbing people from the population. Okay, they're accurately doing that. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to cover more about this tomorrow. Thank you guys. Okay, I with the sixth grade stream, I got a little flustered there, but I guess that's technology. Do you have any questions? Let me put this here. Let's submit. Okay, let me get back into this. My bit rate on this. There we go. Katana, I agree. I I firmly agree. I firmly agree. I would think Zoom would be 10 times better. You can actually be able to see things and share screens and all that kind of stuff. Doing that, doing either like Zoom or Google Meet or things of that sort. Because Google Meet's the same way. Google Meet, I had it up here before too, but like Google Meet, like you can do the same thing. You can share screens and have people on there and all that kind of stuff. That's the preference of things going right now. But I personally believe that would be a better way of doing things. I firmly agree because then I can actually converse with you guys instead of looking down at my thing and going, oh, here's the chat. But hey, that's the way it goes for now, at least. Hope everybody's doing good. Stay safe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.